Hello, everyone. I'm Mr. Macabre, and welcome back to my movie library. Yeah, I'm really sorry. I haven't been really able to post any videos or anything like that in the last few days. Been busy with, just having to go to work, busy with life, things like that. I was really looking forward to doing a collaboration with my friends Rob and Glenn on, uh, what was it? The podcast. What was the name? Graveyard Shift Podcast. I'm sorry. Damn, brain fart there for a minute. Yeah, we were gonna do a podcast together the other night. Unfortunately, I got called into work, so. But anyway, enough complaining about that. But yeah, so here I am. I'm ready to do a video, and yeah, we already got. Yeah, I'm looking forward to our next collaboration. This upcoming Friday night for kind of like body bags and stuff. We're gonna do a collaboration. We're gonna rank our favorite George Romero films. Look forward to that. That's the thing, though, is like that's kind of hard because all of George Romero's movies are amazing. In my estimation, they are. But anyway, so I figured, you guys already know we're doing an original versus remake. I know in case if anybody might be like, dude, you got any kind of like 4K reviews coming or anything? As a matter of fact, I do. Let's see. This Tuesday, I'm supposed to be getting in Forbidden World from Scream Factory. I'm going to be talking about that, and I did put in a pre-order for the Beyond. I think I might make a video just kind of talking about why I did that one. I don't want to get into it here. It's kind of like. But anyway, so yeah, we're going to talk about today. We're going to do an original versus remake, and this might seem a little off, but yeah, these are two movies I know very well, and since one of them is a Tim Burton movie, I figure why not, you know, do a little Tim Burton represent today. Wearing my Nightmare Before Christmas T-shirt, and I got my Jack Skellington tattoo, so why not? Today we're going to talk about 1971's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory versus the 2005 Tim Burton remake Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So here we go. This is my original. I did modify it somewhat though because I put in here, here's the contract. I've had this box set for years, but like I said, I did modify it somewhat. And here's the collector's booklet, everything else. But I took out the Blu-ray, I think it was a Blu-ray and DVD, and I replaced it with the 4K Blu-ray. So, and I do recommend this movie on 4K. It does look really good. Certain colors absolutely pop, I remember watching this with my ex-girlfriend, and then the part where Violet turns into the blueberry, even she was like, my God, that is blue. She noticed, the color sticking out, and then the color stripes on the, it's like, how is that? I can't even talk a movie without going into the whole 4K thing. Sad, isn't it? But anyway, yeah, just like the candy owner shop at the beginning of the movie, you see the color stripes really like stick out. So anyway, but yeah, so I did modify. I put the 4K in there instead of the. Oh, I kept the bonus disc. But anyway, yeah, so I got Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory on 4K. And we're going to compare it to the 2005 remake, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, directed by Tim Burton and starring Johnny Depp. I know a lot of people are going to be like, dude, there's no comparison, okay? This wins every single time. And this is the one, And for the most part, I would agree with that. This movie is amazing. It's, I was one of the kids. I grew up with this movie, watched it multiple times. And, I remember the songs. I remember the humor. Of course, Gene Wilder is iconic, always will be. What can I say about this movie that hasn't been said already? I remember, the crazy thing is I actually did review this on the Body Bags channel a while back. And the reason why we were, I believe we were talking about horror movies from the year 1971. And so I was looking down the list of, horror movies that came out that year, trying to find a movie to review for that week. And I came upon this. This is actually on the list of horror films for 1971. And I just thought it was an interesting concept. And so, I asked Rob, could I do this movie, and stuff, and kind of talk about how, and I wanted to talk about how interesting it was that that this is considered one of the greatest family films of all time. It's considered a masterpiece, a classic, all this kind of stuff. But it's funny that people actually consider this a horror film. And so that's why I wanted to talk to them about. That's why I wanted to review it. And being good enough, they let me do it. So, but just yeah, I mean, I was one of the kids, man. I grew up watching this movie. I must have watched this thing a zillion times, and it never got old. And Gene Wilder was amazing. And you do have a couple of creepy moments in it, especially the tunnel boat ride, where you see all the horrible things, chickens getting their heads cut off, things like that, and everything else. But, just kind of the idea of the horrible things that could happen to the kids. And, the fact that it's like, we never really find out. Wonka says, don't worry, they'll be okay. But that's the thing, at the end of the movie, we never see them again. We never see Veruca or Augustus I always thought that was kind of funny too, that the kids were, well, except for Violet. Violet was named Violet Beauregard, but I thought it was funny that the other kids were named after like inanimate objects. Charlie Bucket, Veruca Salt, Augustus Gloop, Mike TV. I just thought that was funny that they were named out. I was a kid. Kids are amused by the easiest things. Anyway, but yeah. But this movie, it's fantastic. And, so now we're going to talk a little bit about the Tim Burton 2005 remake with Johnny Depp. I will say that, now, while this movie clearly is the winner, okay? I mean, let's not mince words here. This is the winner, right? This is going to be the go-to. You want Willy Wonka, this is going to be it. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm not, if you like the movie, that's great, but I tried Wonka, I couldn't get into it. I'm sorry, I don't know, I just could not connect with that movie. I don't know what it was, but, I mean, if you love the movie Wonka with Timothée Chalamet, that's great. And it is hard for me to include it. It's just, I just could not get into it. It just didn't feel, I don't know, I didn't get it. I don't know. But anyway, so now we're going to talk about the 2005. Now, like I said, this movie here is clearly the winner in terms of, Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka, the songs, the casting, the set design, everything else. The in-camera tricks. This movie is going to win. Whereas this movie, but the thing is, it's like, honestly, there are things about this movie that I do enjoy, and I actually have fun with this movie. And there are moments where I do actually like to sit down and watch this movie. So, I mean, like, even though clearly this is the better one, I don't disregard this movie, to be honest with you. This movie does have its fun points. Now, there are things that I don't appreciate about this movie. Like, for instance, I think they really should not have, just taken Deep Roy and just cut and paste him and just made him all of the Oompa Loompas. Whereas, like, I felt that was pretty disrespectful when you consider that there are so many small people that would have they would have killed to play Oompa Loompas in a movie. And I just, it's like, why is this the thing when you got so many small people out there who would love to play these roles, and they just messed over the whole Snow White thing, and it's like, why are they getting messed over when, and it's just, that's their thing. I think in Wonka, I think there's only one Oompa Loompa, and that's Hugh Grant, who's not even a small person. But like this here, to just take Deep Roy and just copy and paste him all over the place, I just thought that was, when you could hire, many, many small actors, and you could give them a fight, make them fun characteristics, make the Oompa Loompas fun and interesting in their own way and all that kind of stuff, and that was the thing about the originals. Like, the Oompa Loompas were awesome. You'd never see, like, where are they at? Like, right there. The green hair and the orange faces and all that kind of stuff. Orange faces, please don't say Trump. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, they were interesting and You never seen anything like that before, and they were cool. You know, it's like, here you go. You know, the Oompa Loompas, they're awesome, you know? And it just like, to me, it was just like, that was so lazy, you know, to just take one actor and just, you know, copy and paste him. I just felt that that was unnecessary. And this movie, too, the movie is too much reliance on CGI. I mean, I understand that there were some things they couldn't do practically, but it just seemed like this movie just really, really delved too much into the CGI. But, you know, I know you're saying, like, well, you know, you're saying this movie is still worth a watch. You're not convincing us. The reason why I think that, you know, that I do enjoy this movie is because, let's face it, okay? I've already said it like a dozen times already in the last few minutes. Gene Wilder is amazing, okay? And I think, first of all, that Johnny Depp actually have, you know, I appreciate when an actor actually does have the balls to step up and try to take on a role that another actor had made it so iconic and so just perfect, you know, that for another actor to even try it, you know, I mean, like there's, you know, like, you know, yeah, like Johnny Depp trying to, you know, take on Willy Wonka after Gene Wilder did, or like Steven Weber trying to take on Jack Torrance after Jack Nicholson did in The Shining, or, you know, I'm trying to think, there are some other ones I know that, let's see, I know, like, you know, I admit, before I ever saw The Dark Knight, you know, I thought Jack Nicholson was the ultimate Joker. I didn't think anybody was going to, you know, I didn't think anybody was going to come close. And then when I heard, oh, God, Heath Ledger is going to do... This is before I saw the movie, okay? Remember, before I saw the movie. Before I saw the movie, I was like, Heath Ledger is going to do the Joker? Oh, boy, you know? I was like, I don't know, man. Jack Nicholson was the man, you know, and all that stuff. And I still agree that Jack Nicholson's portrayal of the Joker is magnificent. Heath Ledger, he fucking killed it, man. I mean, Heath Ledger is bomb as the Joker. I mean, come on. You know, there are times like, it's hard. You know, there are times like, I hate to say it, but I do have to admit, I think Heath Ledger kind of came out as my favorite Joker. As much as I love Jack Nicholson, I do have to admit, I think Heath Ledger kind of did it better. Or, well, not so much did it better, but he did it his own way, and his way was amazing. You know, and I think that that's the thing. You know, anyway, so, but, you know, I think just for Johnny Depp to take on the role, knowing that, you know, I mean, he knew he was going to get raked over the coals for this. And, you know, he knew that, you know, people were definitely going to compare him to, you know, Gene Wilder and stuff. So, you know, but I appreciate the fact that he had the guts to try it. And then also, too, the thing that I enjoy about this movie is that, okay, the original movie is pretty close to the book, but they did change some things. They did change, you know, like, for instance, in the book, there were, you know, it's in the movie, the nut sorting squirrels, whereas in the this one here, they changed it to the geese that laid the golden eggs. You know, there are, you know, and I think what I'm trying to say basically is one thing that I enjoy about this movie is that this movie is a pretty close, a more closer adaptation of the book than the original movie is. You know, even though the movie is pretty close to the book, but the original movie does kind of go off at points. Whereas this movie here is meant to kind of stick more to the book and be more of a faithful adaptation of the book. So I appreciate it for that. You know, and that this movie here was able to include some of the fun little kind of like sub-stories in the, you know, in the book that were not in the original movie, like the story of, you know, Willy Wonka being hired by the prince to build him a castle made out of chocolate. And then, you know, Wonka tells him, you have to hurry up and start eating this castle, or it's going to melt, and then the castle starts melting and stuff like that. You know, you had some of those fun little side stories from the book that were not in the original movies get made in, or the original movie get put into this. And also, too, you know, one thing that I thought was kind of cool about Johnny Depp taking on this role was that Johnny Depp, okay, one of the reasons why they hired Gene Wilder in the original movie was because they thought that Wonka in the book was too weird, he was too eccentric, he was too dark. He almost came off as a villain in a way. And that was one of the reasons they cast Gene Wilder, because Gene Wilder is, he's so likable and he's funny, and he's just a joy to watch on screen and everything else. So that was the thing, they really wanted to soften Willy Wonka's image. So that's one of the reasons that's why they put Gene Wilder in the movie, because Gene Wilder always had that, likability to him and everything. And so, he was perfect, and he did a great job. And that's another thing that I appreciate about Johnny Depp's performance in this movie, is because Johnny Depp embraced that. He did not embrace, the likability and stuff like that. That was the thing. He went for it in terms of the character in the book, as the character in the book was written, like I said, Wonka was written as this kind of oddball. He was eccentric. He was kind of a weirdo. He was creepy and stuff like that. And Johnny Depp just went for it, and he embraced that. And that's the way he played the role. He did not, he did not try to soften Wonka's image and try to make him likable the way they did in the original movie. He went for it and just, say, yeah, that's the character and that's how I'm going to play it. So I think that that's one of the things too that I enjoy, and even still, and I think that that's one of the things too that's kind of great, is that Wonka is represented in two different ways in the story. Where you have the great, fun, likable Willy Wonka and stuff like that, and then you have the weird, oddball, kind of off-putting Willy Wonka. Very socially awkward Willy Wonka and stuff like that. So I do appreciate, and like I said, I think that I just like the idea that Johnny Depp just did not try to imitate Gene Wilder. That he said, okay, this is the character in the book. He's weird. He's creepy. All this kind of stuff. And so that's the way I'm going to play it, So I appreciate what Johnny Depp did with this character, let's see, like I said, yeah, one of the things I do appreciate in the remake, though, is that, the songs in the original movie, like songs like Pure Imagination, are so much better. What's one of the other songs? The Candyman can, the original, like the music is better. Let's see, what else is there? But the music in here, not quite as good. But what I do appreciate, though, is that the lyrics for the songs in the remake were actually lyrics to songs written in the book. And that what Danny Elfman did was take those lyrics and turn them into songs, And that's one of the things, too, that I really appreciate. It's like, when you read the book, it's like, when you start hearing the song, Augustus Gloop, the great fat greedy nincompoop, that's actually in the book, So I do appreciate that, So, like I said, there are just things in this movie that I do appreciate and enjoy, and that's why I can't ultimately hate it, Even though this is the better movie, it's like I can't help but still pay some respect to this film. One thing I will say, now the kids in the original movie, the kids were just kind of bratty kids. They were the kind of kids, like, yeah, they acted up and stuff like that, but at the same time, you kind of got the feeling, not so much Charlie. Charlie was always the good kid. In both versions, Charlie's the good kid. He's the good kid, the respectful one, all that kind of stuff. Except, oh my God, Charlie is... One of the great things is that Charlie, by the end of the movie, is able to think for himself, because Grandpa Joe, like, let's be real, Grandpa Joe wasn't so bad in this movie, but it was like, in this movie, Grandpa Joe is like the ultimate bastard. Grandpa Joe was leading Charlie down that path to a life of crime almost. Just Grandpa Joe was so like just pushing Charlie in all the wrong directions, and stuff like that. So Grandpa Joe probably, we all saw the meme. That's why I think I didn't go into it too much. Grandpa Joe probably the worst character in the world, but yeah, I mean, like, the kids in this movie are bratty, but you kind of got the feeling, like, especially back in the old days, like, I know, like, my parents could be like, those kids are brats, but you turn around, give them one good swat on the butt and they'll straighten out, stuff like that. So it's like the kids were brats, but they weren't horrible kids. The kids in this movie are terrible. These are awful, awful kids. You cannot wait to see bad things happen to the kids in this movie. Like, they are just wretched. That's one thing I will say, though, is like the kids in this movie are amped up to 11 in terms of awfulness. You know, like I said, Charlie is the good, sweet, respectful boy in both films. But, you know, it's like, in a way, it's like, if you ask me, like, if I had to spend an afternoon with the Willy Wonka kids, which ones would I pick? The ones from this or the ones from this? Definitely, because like these are the kind of kids, like, you know, like, yeah, they are a little disrespectful, but you could, like I said, you could kind of straighten these kids out. These kids, it's all like there's no hope. They're just pure diabolical evil, you know. But just, yeah, I mean, just like I said, you know, I think it's about time to wrap this video up. But yeah, the original Willy Wonka was, is, and always will be the best. But like I said, you know, honestly, don't discount the Tim Burton Charlie and the Chocolate Factory remake. If you're a fan of the book, you know, like I said, there's some things in this movie to enjoy. There's fun to be had. Like I said, I do appreciate that Tim Burton, you know, decided, you know, that was the right way to go. You know, like if we're going to do this movie, let's do a more faithful adaptation of the book than the original movie was. Let's try that. You know, and, you know, like Johnny Depp going in there and say, hey, this is the way the character in the book was written, so that's how I'm going to play it. You know, rather than just, you know, hey, this is the way Gene Wilder did. I'm just going to imitate what he did, you know, and stuff like that. And Johnny Depp was fearless in this role in that, you know, he didn't worry about, oh, I have to try to make Willy Wonka likable and all this kind of stuff. And honestly, too, I know some people will be like, Wonka's backstory is so, you know, unnecessary in this movie. Well, the fact is that, you know, when you got his dad being played by Christopher Lee, you know, that's another thing that to me just makes it all the nicer, all the sweeter, you know. So just, you know, yeah, there are just things about this movie that I do enjoy, and I just can't discount it. But like I said, yeah, I mean, of course, the original is going to edge out the remake, but yeah, there's still, I'm not going to lie, there are still days I still want to sit down and pop this in and watch this version. So that's the thing, you know, I love when you can have an original and a remake, and you can respect them both for their own reasons. And this movie, you know, I know some people, well, you're probably going off nostalgia, but it's like, no, it's not just nostalgia. It's just, this is a genuinely great film. It's well made, well acted, well written, and everything else. And it's like, I can enjoy the remake as its own thing. So I just appreciate that so much. So yeah, the original still wins, but the remake, you know, I still love it. I still have a fondness for it. So that's it, I think. So if anybody took the time to watch all this, I thank you for doing it. I appreciate you for doing it. I also hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave it a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. And that's it, everybody. So take care. Have a good night. See you all later.